Welcome to the Texas Go Radio Show. This is part 5 of the 1999 live stream by Owen Benjamin.
But money isn't even the thing. It's not even the thing. It's like money's just one thing. And so how can I explain this? Okay. It's such a big idea. Okay, so what do the rich want? They want novelty and they want different.
It's such a big idea that I'm trying to explain to you.
It's one reason why you're seeing so much ugly shit everywhere. Okay? So it's like modern art. And there's the tax scam with modern art and all that, but there really are genuinely people that buy ridiculous shit.
Well, it's not even taxes. It's quite literally money laundering. Joe Biden's son is a selling artist. And that's just the first person that I thought of. But you take a banana and you tape it to a canvas, and then you sell it for, I don't even know how much it's sold for. It clearly is money laundering. They just make something up and then sell it to somebody with hardly any acknowledgement of the general population, and large amounts of money is exchanged that way. Now, it's legal because it's a good. It's a service and a good that's exchanged for money. Owen would know nothing about that, really.
A Bugatti versus a Corvette. That's an absurd thing. You know? And I don't need to hear from car people. Don't care, just save it. Or, really, really expensive door handle that doesn't fit with anything. What are you paying for? You're paying for having something that someone else doesn't have, something that's odd, something with a story, something that's strange, right? And that becomes a fetish. And ironically, I think there's so many rich people in America now, so many, that it's really percolating out like end of an empire energy, where things are just getting so ugly and stupid and bizarre. Kanye makes shoes, that is odd. Yeah, and like making them so expensive and so weird that it draws that class of people. And then you have people that look for quality, beauty, symmetry, supporting what they think is good or people they respect or have honor for. That's more of the world, I believe.
That's he's pushing himself. It's almost as though he sat down and tried to come up with the best argument, unassuming argument for himself, because what he just said, those are key words that he uses to describe himself within the bear community as a cult leader to the Beartaria, especially with the Beartarian praise and worship service for Owen Benjamin coming up.
Man, and a lot of you are in. In a way, money is
what?
People that look for quality, beauty, symmetry, supporting what they think is good or people they respect or have honor for. That's more of the world I believe I'm in and a lot of you are in. In a way, money is like actual.
That's quite literally the cult that he's talking about. Sure, it sounds good on the surface, but whenever you dive in just a little bit deeper, put your toes in the water. Don't be just the rock skipping across the lake of Beartaria. Actually, peer into it and look at what the cult of Beartaria really is.
Magnetism, give someone enough of it, tell them to do something, and they do it. Magic Squares, 100% Duodecimal Bear, 100%. Because you think about all the things you can buy with it. But as someone who is blessed to not be poor, to not be struggling right now, but not in the rich camp, I haven't ever been corrupted by it. I mean, I go in and out of, financial stability. Right now, I feel somewhat stable. That's why you don't see me screaming about super chats. But again, it's like, I'm always a few months away from,
He's somewhat stable right now. That's why you don't see him screaming about super chats. I've been broke. And I wouldn't say I've been wealthy, but I've been well off. And screaming about not making enough money literally doesn't do anything unless you're a beggar, unless you're a predator, unless you're literally berating someone for not giving you the money that you feel like you're owed.
Figuring out how I keep the water warm in the winter. They're searching for meaning, but what they have doesn't give it to them, so they search for the absurd for meaning. Yeah. So this is a big idea, and I know I'm sounding a little rambly, so let me just get focused on this. How do I?
Well, it's a lot. He's the day after, I guess, a bender, because yesterday he was on it.
Describe this. Okay, take China. China was a lot poorer when they got into manufacturing, and so their not filled with rich people like America. So they're like, I make handbag like Louis Vuitton. Does same thing. I charge $5. And the French are like, ooh la la, Louis Vuitton. It is $20,000. You are doing cheap knockoff. And they're like, what knockoff? It made out of same shit. Looks the same. Fucking same thing. And they're like, not the same thing. Louis, you are buying a tradition. You're like, the Chinese are like, you're buying a bag for your shit. If I put LV on the fucking thing, dumb people buy it. I make more money. And it's just so profound when you think about it. It's like, why do people spend money on various things? What are they getting out of it? Like, what energy transfer are they doing? And are the rich as dual?
So he's arguing for being a con man? Is that what I'm gathering from that? And the whole energy thing?
What Decimal Bear said, the most hypnotized people. Because the poor, no one's lying to. Why would you? There's no reason to. Nobody's running game on a poor guy. Like somebody's just wearing sweatpants and no shirt. They're just talking to themselves at Greyhound Station. They're just like walking around. No one's going to be like, hey, Gary, why don't you come on vacation with me? You know, I'm going to make a silver ladle just for you, handcrafted. And I'm going to be the most special friend you've ever had. Right? Like the shit that I face with minimal financial clout, poor people don't ever have to face that. Nobody's ever being nice to them because of who they are. I'm going to be the most special friend you've ever had. Right? Like the shit that I face with minimal financial.
So do you hear what he's saying? He's talking about, he is clearly classifying the listeners, the bears, as poor, saying, y'all aren't victimized. People aren't lying to you. They're attacking me. This is one of the most bizarre things, angles I've seen him do. This is crazy, man.
Clout. Poor people don't ever have to face that. Nobody's ever being nice to them because of who they are. You get to see the real world. That's why the poor sometimes have a better idea of what the world is, because they see what people really are. Like, no one's wearing a mask around the poor. Like, it's.
Oh, is he going to bring up the Kevin Bacon thing? I don't know if it's true or not, but I've seen a couple people show that, not the video, but it was just some text where it said, yeah, I wore a disguise one time out in public and I absolutely hated it. I had to wait in line for my coffee and people didn't say I love you. And I wanted to just take it off and go back to being famous.
It's like a really unattractive, obese woman. You know, she gets to see more about what men really are at the bar versus like the really attractive girl that every guy's like, oh, you know, I'm just like, they're like lying to them all the time. And so what are the rich buying with all that stuff? What are they signaling to people? It's interesting. And Mifnax equals Nignog.
I might be far too ignorant to be actually picking up on what he's laying down. But if you could see the look on my face, staring off into the distance with a confused look, thinking, what in the hell is this guy talking about?
I have no idea what that means, Neil. I like how Chinaman sounds like Corey's like, I make bag out of cowhide just like you. It's like, ooh, yeah, you did it. Like, they claim that the champagne from Champagne Valley is special because of the dirt. It's not. It's stupid. It's not. Yeah, a lot of the rich don't know who their friends are. Exactly. They have no idea. Like, look at Joe Rogan. Look at how everyone's stumbling over themselves to compliment Joe Rogan's incredible stand-up comedy ability and how he's saved.
There are companies that have literally spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions. It was probably millions, an insane amount of money, to build their factories in a different place to where eventually they would make more money than where the factory is now. And they did everything the same. They copied everything. Did it exactly. Copied everything to a T. Started production, and it just wasn't the same. Location does matter. It really does. Not for everything, but for some things it does.
Comedy. He's not good at comedy, and he did not save comedy. It's more of an argument that he ruined it. Oh, you're just a hater. No, you're using Joe Rogan. These people will say anything to stay in the good graces of Joe Rogan so that they can be put on his show and they can make more money. That's a fact. Okay? I have no ill will. I'm just pointing that out, and everyone freaking knows it. Everyone knows that. You know, like Red Bar says, they're all in their best behavior when they go on.
That's such a bizarre thing to say. Everyone knows that I'm right. Everybody knows that I'm right. Well, Mark Norman, going with what he just said of everybody just kisses the ring. The clips that I've seen, Mark just roasts everyone, and including Joe. And so is there some truth to what he's saying? Yeah, but is there truth to him saying that there's no animosity? I don't think so. I think there's definite animosity.
His show. Yeah. And they're always like, Joe, like what you've done for me. But meanwhile, he doesn't do shit for anybody. I mean, they're trying to do this big push that he's this big generous guy. I remember
There's no way that you know that. Because if you're giving appropriately, people don't know that you're giving.
The second time I did his show, and I'm not going to say who or what or details, I'm not a gossip, but he was bitching and on about this promoter at a comedy club who was taking some of his money. It was like a few $1,000s. And I remember thinking, like, why the fuck do you even care? You know, he's just shooting pool, just really angry that this promoter, and for those of you that have listened to me for years, you know that I'm not lying. Like, I don't need to show receipts. And it doesn't even matter. I've never told this story. It's just a whim. But I remember thinking, like, and he was telling me about the money, like how much it was. I think it was like $1,200. And I'm like, why do you give why? That's like, to Joe Rogan, $1,200 is like this penny to me. It's literally like, not like, who gives a shit? And it was consuming him. He was just like, hey, good stuff.
So somebody steals, that gives you some insight because it's not the amount, it's the principle. I've quit a side job over $12. That's no joke. The dude hired me to run a fireworks stand, and he paid me with a handwritten check, and it was short $12. And that told me that I didn't want to do business with him because we agreed on a. Did I overreact? Probably. Was I a lot younger? Yes. But it was the principle. You hand wrote this check, dude. You could have ripped it up and made it right. Instead, you decided not to pay me what we agreed that you would pay me. I don't want to work for you anymore. And that's exactly what I told him.
Thinking about, did he get ripped off? Did he not get the right cut? And I'm just like, oh my God. And that's why these guys are miserable, like this, because they live in regret. They're never satisfied. And everyone around them is lying to them, you know, and it really does damage them. Some people have claimed that I'm surrounded by yes men, and I am absolutely not.
Yes, he is. This is the Texas Go Radio Show. As always, till next time.